Hello everyone! Today I'm going to be making some banana bread, and I'm actually using a recipe from hoserhomemade.com, and I'll try and link that down below if I can. Anyway, this is a Starbucks copycat recipe. I'm going to be doing a few things, kind of tweaking it on my own a few different ways, just because of some dietary stuff that we have going on right now. But let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the recipe calls for 2 to 3 very ripe bananas, and these bananas are from last week. And unfortunately, when I was putting some groceries away, I dumped the whole basket of bananas over, and they fell on the floor. And so these were the ones that were on the bottom, and they got really bruised. So on top of being overripe, they're also bruised. So I'm going to open these up and add them to my bowl. So like I anticipated, they are really overripe and bruised. So I'm going to add the eggs. And I think one thing that I forgot to get out was the butter. Okay, to the bananas, I'm going to be adding 2 eggs. And 1/3 of a cup of butter. And then let me get out my vanilla. I can make my own vanilla, like I make it homemade, and I do have a video for that on my channel, so I'll see if I can link that down below. So I just add, what does the recipe call for the vanilla? Actually, this recipe doesn't call for vanilla at all, but I like to add it to my banana bread. Next up, we have 2 tablespoons of milk, and I've already added 1, so there's the second. All right, I'm going to blend these up and then add my sugar. Now the recipe calls for 1/3 of a cup Truvia baking blend, and I think they must have had a collaboration going on with Truvia. So I'm just using a cup of 1/3 of a cup of regular sugar. And I'm going to let that mix up. Okay, next I need 1 3/4 cup of bread flour. So let's see if I can do this one-handed. Ooh, big mess. And I better get a little bit extra because I missed about 1/4 of a cup of that scoop. And then it needs 3/4 in addition to the 1 cup. So here's 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to add some more dry ingredients to this. So I'm going to add my 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. That's a little bit much still. 1. And 2. Now the recipe doesn't call for this, but I like to add ground cinnamon to mine. And then I'm also going to add a little bit to the top of my bread before I bake it. Now I'm just going to give this a little whisk to incorporate it all before I start adding it in portions to my mixing bowl. I'm just going to add a bit in, mix it up, and then after I'm done mixing it, I'll add some more. Okay, I've just added the rest of it, and we're going to mix that all up until it's nice and smooth. Now my favorite thing to add to this is pecans and chocolate chips and cranberries. But unfortunately, one of my children have braces right now, so I can't add any dried fruit because it's too sticky, and I can't add any nuts because it's too hard for their braces. So I'm just adding the chocolate chips because after they've been cooked, they're very soft. So I'm going to add this to my bowl, and that's 1 whole cup of chocolate chips. And then I'm just going to turn it on. I'm going to scrape down the sides just to make sure that I don't miss any of the flour or any of the dry ingredients, to make sure they all get incorporated really well. And then I'll blend it one more time when I'm finished. Okay, I got everything all mixed up and I've got my bread poured into the pan. And then what I like to do is add some sugar in the raw to the top. This is very coarse sugar, and I like to sprinkle it over the top and add some cinnamon. This part I don't measure out, I just kind of eyeball it. To make sure that it kind of gets all over all of the top of the bread. And this gives it a really nice crunch to the top that I really like. And it kind of like caramelizes on the top. All right, so let me get this in the oven. So here it is, fresh out of the oven. I probably cut it a little too soon because it's still piping hot and it kind of crumbled as I was cutting it. But I'm hungry. I haven't had lunch yet, so I'm going to have a slice of this and probably get out a yogurt and have that for my lunch. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna try and link this recipe down below if I can find it again. It's been a few years since I've printed this out, so I'm not sure if the website's still active. But if it is, I'll link it down below in the description box. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you again soon.